We're going strong with part 4 of my series on films that have a happy ending for its sapphic characters and therefore won't break your heart, because it's good to know that the ladies won't be maimed, killed off, or given some other tragic ending. Let's go! Mystère à la Tour Eiffel is a fun French mystery about Louise, who is framed for the murder of her father, Gustave Eiffel, after whom the Eiffel Tower is named, and in order to clear her name, she must not only break out of the asylum where she is incarcerated, but then follow the clues to find out who the real killer is, with the police hot on her tail. While on her quest, she meets Henriette, a magician's assistant who proves to be an ally. Louise finds herself falling for her. It's a fun, made-for-TV movie that gave me Tipping the Velvet and Fingersmith vibes. I suspect some inspiration was taken from these works, a happy ending notwithstanding, which to me is just the ticket. In the TV movie An Unexpected Love, when Kate divorces her husband and finds herself a single mother of 2 teens, she also gets a new job and develops an attraction for her new boss, who is also a lesbian, Mac. They both catch feelings, and I'm guessing the rest writes itself. I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything about it, other than I see that Wendy Crewson is playing the boss, and she makes an appearance in another film on this list, Better Than Chocolate. I really enjoyed her in that, so I'm curious to see this one. It's a Lifetime movie, just to set expectations, and I've seen mixed reviews, but it has a happy ending. I found a copy of the movie on Dailymotion, so link in the description. The Prom is an unabashed musical rom-com where some self-absorbed theatre stars decide to take up a cause when their latest show bombs. This comes in the form of helping a high schooler, Emma, who wants to take her girlfriend Alyssa to the prom, but the school retaliates by cancelling the entire event. The theatre stars burst onto the scene to make sure that Emma gets her prom. It's a star-studded movie with the likes of Kerry Washington, Meryl Streep, and Nicole Kidman. It has big musical numbers to tap your toes to, and while drama causes a little wobble for the sapphic ladies, there are some disapproving parents and the like, they ultimately get the gayest of proms and a grand musical finale which, I won't lie, I got a little teary-eyed at. It was a fun and easy movie. Laci Naga, also known as The Firefly in English, is a Colombian film about Lucia, whose brother is killed in a car accident the day he was meant to get married. She grows close to his fiancée, Mariana, as they deal with the grief of their loss, and through it, a tender love develops. For Lucia, she must then choose whether she wants to stay with her husband or start a new life with Mariana. This is not a film I've seen. Thank you to those who recommended it to me in the comments, and judging by that fact, I'm guessing Lucia chooses her new lady love. This next one I have seen, however. Thanks to Her is a film I stumbled across on YouTube recently, and it's a feature-length version of the short film from 3 years back, which got 2 million views. I had no expectations, and while I am hardly the demographic for this film, I ended up thinking it was a cute, if fairly flawed film. What I liked was the fact that it had a bit of intersectionality there with an ace lesbian as the love interest. While how that might realistically work in a relationship with someone who is not asexual was not explored in depth, I could well imagine it would feel very affirming to show an ace lesbian in a relationship and it working out. It follows Millie, who is working hard to get a soccer scholarship to college and finds herself having to do community service for a month alongside Andy following an altercation she got caught up in. Millie is intrigued by how Andy seems so confident and open in her sexuality, and while doing the community service work at the retirement home, she meets a later-in-life sapphic couple and gets to hear their story, which gives her the courage to face her own sexuality. Not only does she come out to Andy, but she finds herself attracted to her, although because Andy is also asexual, it means the growing feelings between the girls are not clearly laid out, and it leads to a bit of drama. Nothing too bad, because by the end, they're a couple. Love Classified is about a romance writer who decides to return to town to reconnect with her 2 kids after a long absence, and her return is not received with open arms as she might have desired. Her daughter, Taylor, single and looking for love, decides to answer an old-fashioned classified ad and is surprised to find that Frankie is a woman, played by Ariane Mandy, who you might well recognize from the L Word Gen Q. While Taylor is initially taken aback, she finds she gets along well with Frankie, and so she decides to give love with her a go. While they seem to jump into being pretty committed far too quickly for it to feel plausible, which irked me a little bit, for Hallmark it's frankly a solid offering, and look, it's an unabashed romance film, so it has a happy ending, and about that I can't complain. Ich Will Dich is a German TV movie that made it onto my Mature Sapphic Ladies series recently, as do the next 2 entries as well, so let me just cover them briefly. Mahi, married with children, finds her head turned when an old friend turns up with his fiancée. It's happy endings all around for the queer couples on Better Than Chocolate, an indie rom-com, when Maggie's mother and brother unexpectedly show up just as she has met a girl she really likes. Die Konkurrentin is about two women who are pitted against each other in the workplace by their boss, but instead of one of them being ousted from the business, they fall in love. The next few are still happy endings, but not in the romantic way. Now, Almost Adults is a happy ending. I'm just sure many people who watched it were wanting Elise Bauman and Natasha Negovanlis to end up together given their massive popularity on the web series Camilla, and that's not what happened. But Elise's character, Mackenzie, does come out and she starts dating women. It causes some trouble with Natasha's character, best friend Cassie, because Mackenzie's realization that she's gay causes an upheaval to their tight-knit dynamic. But I don't remember a whole lot since it's been a while, which perhaps is saying something. With Ammonite, we get an ending that is somewhat open-ended. It suggested the women get back together with its final shot, but the issues raised during the movie remain unresolved, and so I would say, much like the movie Carol, it's happy light. Here it follows Mary Anning, a taciturn woman who lives on the English coast and has dedicated her life to fossil hunting. In order to make ends meet, she and her mother also offer board in their home, and when Charlotte is brought to them by Charlotte's husband to convalesce after a miscarriage, Mary is asked to take her along on her fossil expeditions to help revive her spirits. As they spend time together, an attraction grows, which leads to an affair. While it didn't get near the attention that other historical lesbian films have, it's one that I found absorbing and beautifully done. And plus, the Dutch movie that came out of the popular web series of the same name is another film I enjoyed. Here it follows Anne living in Amsterdam, but set to move to Montreal with her girlfriend Sada, who heads over to start her dream job, while Anne will follow once she's completed her book, which she's struggling to finish. During their separation, Anne finds herself exploring her identity on all levels, and because she's in a poly relationship, it also includes some other partners. It's not a happy romantic ending for Anne, but it certainly is uplifting and hopeful as she figures out who she is and what she wants. Appropriate Behavior is a great film that might not have protagonist Shirin back with her ex at the end of the movie, but we do see growth in her as she comes to terms with the separation. This is a clever comedy about Shirin trying to find her place in the world as a bisexual and as a daughter of Persian parents, to whom she is not out. We follow her as she stumbles through her life, going on dates, hookups, and trying to find the right bra size. It's been a while since I saw this one, but I remember enjoying it a lot and being especially impressed with Desiree Akhavan, who wrote, directed, and starred in it. She also directed the next one on this list, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, adapted from a novel. Here we follow Cameron in the 90s, who is discovered on prom night making out with a girl in a car. She's thrown into the confusing and insidious world of conversion therapy, and her saving grace is that she makes friends with two others that help provide some much-needed perspective as she wrestles with what her religion versus her heart is telling her. Another excellent film that has a hopeful, uplifting ending, just not one that ends in romance. This next one I haven't seen, but I do know how it ends, and it's been called a feel-good movie. It also has Nick Offerman in it, who I've enjoyed from Parks and Rec, and also that unexpectedly gay episode in The Last of Us that had the internet abuzz. Here he plays Frank, a dad to queer daughter Sam, who is getting ready to head off to college at the end of summer. Wanting to connect with her, they end up making a song that goes viral when he uploads it to Spotify, and so he suggests they make another one and perhaps even form a band. This is primarily about the father-daughter dynamic, but Sasha Lane plays Sam's love interest, and the rest of the film seems to have a few well-known faces like Ted Danson and Toni Collette. So while Sam is off to college at the end of the film, and I assume it's the end of her romance as she heads off to new adventures, it looks like it could be a worthwhile watch. Until next time, lady lovers.